Women rarely pull away suddenly. They pull away quietly, gradually, strategically, long before you even notice the shift. And here is the dark truth Machiavelli would tell you. A woman withdraws not because she lacks affection, but because she has detected weakness. When a woman begins to distance herself, she has already taken mental steps you were too distracted to see. Her replies get colder, her tone gets flatter, her attention wanders, her patience shrinks, her curiosity dies, her desire evaporates, and her silence grows louder than any words she could speak. You think it's sudden. It's not. You simply didn't recognize the signs. Women don't pull away because of mood swings or stress or overthinking. They pull away because on a psychological level, something in you stopped feeling safe, strong, or compelling. Men panic at this moment. They chase harder. They demand answers. They talk more. They confess feelings. They negotiate affection. Every one of these reactions pushes her even further because Machiavelli warned us, he who appears desperate invites his own rejection. When a woman pulls away, you instinctively lean in. But leaning in is the very act that kills the remaining desire. Here is the brutal truth. Women pull away for reasons you don't see, but you feel the consequences instantly. And those reasons are not random. They are psychological, predictable, and almost always tied to signals you gave off without realizing. In this breakdown, we will explore the 3 key reasons women distance themselves. Not the pretty lies men tell each other, but the deeper Machiavellian dynamics of power, perception, and attraction. If you understand these 3 reasons, you'll finally understand why affection disappears, why attention shifts, and why closeness turns to coldness. More importantly, you'll understand how to prevent it from happening again. Because in the world of human relationships, as Machiavelli said, a man ignorant of forces working against him is doomed to be ruled by them. Let's begin. A woman doesn't pull away when you make mistakes. She pulls away when she feels weakness. Not the physical kind, but the psychological kind. Men assume women leave because something happened. But in reality, the shift begins the moment she feels. You're too available, too emotionally exposed, too reactive, too easily influenced, too attached, too willing to bend, too eager to please. Women are biologically and psychologically tuned to evaluate a man's inner strength. Not strength you show, but strength you are. And here is the Machiavellian truth. Weakness exposed is weakness punished. She doesn't pull away because she's cruel. She pulls away because something in you triggered her deepest instinct. This man cannot carry both his world and mine. She senses weakness in moments you don't notice. When you text too fast, it signals you have nothing else going on. When you apologize too much, it signals fear of losing her. When you get jealous easily, it signals insecurity and lack of self-control. When you overshare your emotions, it signals emotional dependence. When you can't handle silence, it signals low tolerance for tension. When you need reassurance, it signals you don't trust your own worth. Every one of these actions chips away at her attraction, not because she wants perfection, but because she wants stability. To a woman, weakness isn't cute or relatable. Weakness is danger. It means you won't protect yourself. It means you won't protect her. It means you can't lead. It means she must become the stronger one. And women resent that more than anything. Machiavelli wrote, "He who depends on another for strength will be abandoned when that strength is tested." When she pulls away, she's not punishing you. She's responding to the signals you gave. Men think desire is lost because she met someone else. She is confused. She is stressed. She is busy. No, those are symptoms. The cause is simpler. She sensed weakness, and desire cannot survive where weakness grows. Women don't pull away from strength. They pull away from the absence of it. Reason number 2. You became predictable. Desire dies in certainty. If there is one force that kills desire faster than time, faster than arguments, faster than distance, it is predictability. Once a woman can predict your thoughts, your reactions, your schedule, your emotional patterns, your availability, the mystery evaporates, and desire cannot breathe without mystery. Machiavelli said, "Familiarity breeds contempt. Predictability breeds indifference." Women pull away when a man becomes too obvious, too transparent, too emotionally readable, too consistent in his neediness, too available at every hour, too predictable in his affection. Too easy to obtain attraction requires polarity. Predictability kills polarity. Here's the psychological truth. The moment she can script your behavior, she no longer craves your presence, because there's no tension, no anticipation, no uncertainty, no spark. Women don't fall for men they fully understand. They fall for men who make them feel. And feelings require contrast. Warmth versus distance, presence versus absence, certainty versus doubt, softness versus edge. When you eliminate contrast, you eliminate emotion. You reply instantly. She knows you're waiting. You always say yes. She knows the answer before asking. You always initiate. She knows your desire is guaranteed. You overshare. She knows your emotional blueprint. You stop evolving. She knows you've peaked. Predictable men become background noise in their own relationships. Machiavelli warned leaders about this same trap. If your enemy knows your next move, you have already lost. Women are not your enemy, but the psychology is the same. Once she can predict everything about you, your texts, your tone, your reactions, your arguments, your apologies, your routines, she stops seeing you as a man of depth and starts seeing you as a man of maintenance, a man who must be managed, not adored, a man who must be handled, not desired, a man whose emotional world is too small to challenge or intrigue her. Here's the brutal truth. Women pull away not because you changed, but because you stopped changing. You became static, safe, comfortable, understandable, predictable. She doesn't leave safety, she leaves stagnation. Women crave the man who keeps evolving, keeps growing, keeps surprising her with his strength, keeps expanding his world. Because a man who expands creates gravity, and a man with gravity is impossible to pull away from. A woman does not pull away because she suddenly stopped liking you. She pulls away because at some point you stopped being the man she could look up to. This is the most painful truth men refuse to face. Attraction dies the moment the power shifts. Not physical power, not money, not dominance, but emotional power. The invisible hierarchy in every connection. The moment she becomes the center of your world, and you stop being the center of your own, the dynamic breaks. Machiavelli warned kings of the same mistake. A ruler who gives his subjects more power than he keeps invites his own downfall. When a woman pulls away, it's often because you handed her the crown. Here's how. You made her your purpose, instead of having a purpose she could respect. You became reactive. Your emotions depended on her attention. You chased harder the more she distanced, reversing the polarity completely. You overinvested time, effort, affection, focus, all out of balance. You let her moods control yours. She became your emotional weather. You abandoned your standards just to keep her close. Every time you did this, you gave her more power than she ever asked for, and women despise the power they never wanted. Men think, if I love her more, she'll stay. But psychologically, it turns into, if I love her more, I lose myself. And she feels it. She pulls away because she doesn't want to lead. She pulls away because she doesn't want control. She pulls away because she doesn't want a man who orbits around her like a satellite of insecurity. Women fall for men who have their own momentum, their own direction, their own mission, their own gravity, not men who treat her as their air source. Here is the darker truth. A woman pulls away when she realizes you value her more than she values you, not because she wants to hurt you, but because the imbalance suffocates attraction. Machiavelli understood this dynamic deeply. Power dissolves when given freely. You gave too much, your energy, your presence, your mind, your emotional leadership, and in doing so, you made her the ruler of a kingdom she never wanted to govern. The result? She retreats, not out of cruelty, but out of instinct. The relationship became heavy, unequal, emotionally inverted, because once the throne shifts, so does desire. A woman cannot desire a man she must lead. A woman cannot respect a man she must stabilize. A woman cannot admire a man she must emotionally parent. Women pull away not when you lose affection, but when you lose your axis, because the moment she becomes the stronger one, she realizes she has already lost the man she fell for. The Machiavellian solution: how to pull her back without chasing. Here is the paradox every man must learn. You never pull a woman back by moving toward her. You pull her back by moving toward yourself. Machiavelli understood this far before modern psychology. He who strengthens himself weakens his enemies. He who weakens himself strengthens them. When she pulls away, your instinct screams, chase, explain, fix, ask, negotiate, reassure, confess, win her back through effort. But this instinct is the very force that pushes her further. Why? Because chasing communicates dependence. Dependence communicates imbalance, and imbalance destroys desire. The Machiavellian strategy is completely different. You do not pursue. You do not panic. You do not tremble. You shift the gravity back to yourself. Women don't fall for the man who wants her the most. Women fall for the man who is the most himself, the man who does not collapse when affection is withdrawn. So what is the actual strategy? 1. You remove emotional supply immediately, not as a game, not as manipulation, as a correction of polarity. No extra texting, no long paragraphs, no proving yourself, no explaining your worth, no emotional unloading, no "let me fix this" tone. When she steps back, you step back into yourself, not toward her. This is not coldness, this is recalibration. 2. You restore the unpredictability she lost. You don't become distant, you become unreadable. Your responses become shorter. Your tone becomes calmer. Your energy becomes harder to interpret. Your schedule becomes full. Your life becomes bigger than her imagination. Machiavelli said, men are judged more by the novelty of their actions than by their consistency. Predictability killed the spark. Unpredictability resurrects it. 3. You let her feel the silence she made. Every woman who pulls away expects you to chase. When you don't, something unexpected happens. She begins to feel the void. Women do not miss men. Women miss the emotional experience men create. When you stop filling her world with attention, validation, and predictability, she suddenly becomes aware of what she walked away from. Silence is not avoidance. Silence is a message. I will not collapse just because you stepped back. 4. You elevate your identity in real time. Nothing pulls a woman back faster than a man who becomes busier, becomes disciplined, becomes more focused, becomes unavailable, becomes sharper, becomes driven, becomes more self-contained. Why? Because she sees the man she was once drawn to re-emerge, not the softened, weakened version she pulled away from. Modern advice tells you to work on yourself. Machiavelli would correct that. Do not work on yourself. Fortify yourself. There is a difference. 5. You show strength without hostility. You are not punishing her. You are not playing games. You are not acting superior. Your energy says only one thing: I don't chase, I attract, because my world is worth walking toward. This is the moment attraction returns, not because she suddenly changed, but because you did, because the power shifted back, because the hierarchy corrected, because you stopped bleeding value, because you stopped trying to earn what should flow naturally. Machiavelli warned, "He who desires too much becomes cheap. He who desires in silence becomes priceless." When you regain your axis, you regain her attention. When you regain your strength, you regain her desire. When you regain yourself, you regain everything. The signs: she feels the shift, how to know it's working. When you stop chasing, when you reclaim your center, when you pull your energy back, the dynamic changes. Most men think women pull away and forget. But Machiavelli understood human nature well. Absence sharpens the hunger that presence once dulled. If your shift is real, you will see unmistakable signs that she feels it. Here are the signals. 1. She reappears in small, subtle ways. A woman rarely comes back with an obvious confession. Her return begins quietly, a random reaction to your story, a reply to something old, a short message, a question she doesn't need to ask, "How have you been?" A sudden check-in. These are not accidents. Women test the waters with soft touches, not bold moves. She's checking your temperature, your stability, your emotional position. She wants to know, did he collapse without me? If you didn't, the attraction begins to rebuild. 2. Her tone shifts from distant to careful. She chooses words more softly, more attentively. Women speak differently to men they respect. A colder woman becomes warmer. A distracted woman becomes curious. A busy woman becomes suddenly available. Her language reveals what her pride hides. 3. She watches your life more. She checks your stories, lingers longer, views everything you post, sometimes even from burner accounts. Why? Because curiosity is returning, and curiosity is the first stage of desire. 4. She becomes inconsistent. This is counterintuitive but psychologically accurate. When a woman feels the power shift back to you, she becomes confused, hesitant, more emotional, less in control. One day warm, one day cold. This is internal conflict. She feels pulled toward you, but her pride doesn't want to show it. Machiavelli wrote, "Conflicted hearts reveal their loyalty in their inconsistency." 5. She initiates in small but meaningful ways. She does not chase, but she begins to start. Conversations, questions, playful comments, invitations, emotional openings. Women open the door first. Men walk through it. If she starts opening doors, the polarity is restoring. 6. She mirrors your energy. A woman aligned with your presence begins to match it. Your calm becomes her calm. Your distance becomes her softness. Your silence becomes her curiosity. Your focus becomes her interest. You lead emotionally. She returns emotionally. This is the natural order of polarity. 7. She tests you again. Her tests return, not to hurt you, but to confirm the transformation is real. Tests like delayed replies, small provocations, questions about your schedule, probing your confidence. Most men panic here. But Machiavelli would say, "He who cannot withstand small trials is unworthy of greater rewards." Her tests mean one thing: she is reevaluating you. This is good, very good. 8. She slows down her distance. She no longer pulls away. She no longer disconnects. She no longer treats you like an afterthought. Women don't reverse direction suddenly. They reverse gradually. Distance stops widening, then stops moving, then begins to close. This is the turning point. 9. She shows respect again. This is the ultimate sign. Respect is the foundation of attraction. Attraction cannot breathe without it. If she listens more, responds faster, speaks softer, engages deeper, avoids provoking you, values your time, values your attention, it means she feels your strength again. Women don't return to comfort. Women return to stability. and stability is restored when you stop making her the center of your world and return to being the center of your own. The 3 fatal mistakes men make. When she pulls away. When a woman distances herself, most men react in a way that guarantees she will never return. Not because men are foolish, but because their instincts betray them. Machiavelli understood this perfectly. The desperate man destroys his own cause. Here are the 3 fatal mistakes that destroy attraction completely. Mistake number 1. You chase her emotionally. When she withdraws, your panic rises. You start texting longer messages, double texting, asking if she's okay, asking what you did wrong, asking if she still cares, giving emotional paragraphs, trying to fix the connection, trying to talk it out. You don't realize it, but every message screams, "My emotional stability depends on you." Nothing kills attraction faster. Women don't run from distance. They run from dependence. Men think chasing shows care, but psychologically it shows weakness. It signals you fear losing her. You value her more than she values you. You have no control, you're reacting. Not leading, your world collapses without her. A woman who is undecided becomes fully decided the moment you chase. Because Machiavelli said, "One who kneels to be heard shall only be ignored." Mistake number 2, you try to prove your worth. Men start performing. They talk about their achievements, promise they will do better, offer more time, attention, reassurance, try to impress, suddenly put in more effort, shower her with validation, gift affection she didn't ask for. All of it is a covert plea, "Please choose me." But here is the psychological truth. Women never choose a man who is busy trying to earn them. The moment you try to prove your value, you announce that you believe your value is insufficient. Nothing is more unattractive. Machiavelli warned rulers about this same trap. He who justifies himself weakens the impression of his strength. You don't justify strength, you embody it. Mistake 3, you overcorrect, turning cold, angry, or dramatic. Some men react with hostility, passive aggression, emotional withdrawal, punishment, jealousy, inducing behavior, drama, toxic silence. They think this will force her back. Instead, it confirms her decision to leave, because it shows emotional instability, fragility, immaturity, fear disguised as anger, loss of self-control. The man who acts out emotionally reveals the deepest truth. I am not strong enough to handle uncertainty. Machiavelli said, "Anger unmasks the weakness a calm mind would hide." Emotional punishment is still emotional dependence, just inverted. Both are forms of neediness, the reality. When she pulls away, your reaction determines everything. Chasing kills attraction. Proving yourself kills respect. Punishing her kills connection. What restores everything is strength, not force, not pressure, not manipulation. Strength of self, strength of identity, strength of presence. When you stop reacting like a man afraid of loss, you become a man she fears losing. How to rebuild attraction? The Machiavellian way, without games or begging. Most men rebuild attraction by trying harder. Strong men rebuild attraction by becoming harder to replace. Women are not drawn to pressure. They're drawn to presence. And presence is rebuilt through self-alignment, not emotional labor. Machiavelli said, "Men admire in others what they discipline in themselves." If you want her attraction back, you must first reclaim the parts of yourself that she silently stopped respecting. Here's the Machiavellian blueprint. 1. Rebuild your life, not the connection. This is the foundation. Women do not return to comfort. They return to momentum. When you get disciplined, grow your business, train harder, build structure, improve your appearance, elevate your habits, develop your craft, expand your world, something shifts in the dynamic. You stop being a man who needs validation. You become a man who generates his own gravity. A woman cannot pull away from gravity. She gets pulled back in. 2. Rebuild mystery by reducing your accessibility. You don't disappear, but you stop being predictable. You respond when you choose. You reveal less. You initiate less. You move calmly, not reactively. Your emotional world starts to feel larger again. She senses the change instantly. Machiavelli warned, to be predictable is to surrender advantage. When she cannot predict you, she must pay attention again. 3. Rebuild polarity by not matching her withdrawal. A rookie mistake. She pulls away, you pull away harder. That's ego, not strategy. A Machiavellian man does this instead. He reduces effort but remains composed. He shows warmth but not dependence. He stays open but not available. He removes pressure but not presence. This creates the dynamic women crave. A man who is steady but not submissive. Her attraction returns not because you withdrew, but because you became self-contained. 4. Rebuild tension through calm leadership. Most men think leadership means control. It doesn't. Leadership means direction. When things become uncertain, you don't panic, overthink, interrogate, beg, emotionally dump, demand clarity. Instead, you project this energy. I'm centered. I move with intention. My world doesn't shake because someone steps back. A man who doesn't break under uncertainty becomes magnetic. Women feel this energetically and they move toward it. 5. Rebuild respect by reinforcing boundaries. Respect returns when boundaries return. You don't tolerate disrespect, emotional volatility, inconsistency, flakiness, one-sided effort, not aggressively, not dramatically, calmly, because a boundary is not a rule for her. It is a standard for you. Machiavelli wrote, "A man who does not protect his dignity cannot claim admiration." Respect is rebuilt through action, not speeches. 6. Rebuild desire by becoming selective again. When she feels like the only woman you want, she loses leverage. When she feels like the only woman you would choose, she gains leverage. But when she feels like a woman who must earn a place in your evolving life, desire returns. Not because she fears competition, but because she senses your standards again. Women are drawn to men who choose with discernment. 7. Rebuild control by mastering your emotions. The man who can't control his emotions becomes controlled by the emotions of others. When you show calm under pressure, emotional restraint, thoughtful responses, slow reactions, clarity over chaos, you regain the upper hand in the dynamic. You become the anchor again. You become the stable force she once trusted. You become the version of yourself she was originally attracted to. The result: when you rebuild, your life, your momentum, your unpredictability, your emotional boundaries, your standards, your masculine gravity, something inevitable happens. Her distance collapses. Her curiosity ignites. Her attraction rebuilds. Not because you convinced her, but because you reminded her. Machiavelli would say, "A man does not win affection by pursuit, but by being a prize worth pursuing." The final warning from Machiavelli: why you must never lose yourself again. There is one lesson Machiavelli would carve into stone if he were alive today. A man who loses himself for a woman will lose the woman as well. Women don't pull away because love dies. They pull away because you died. The version of you she respected. The version that carried his own weight. The version that stood firm even when the world shook. Every time a man collapses into neediness, into emotional fragility, into overinvestment, into seeking approval, into chasing validation, he abandons the kingdom within himself. And a man without a kingdom cannot inspire desire. This is the final, brutal truth. She didn't pull away to hurt you. She pulled away to wake you up, to force you to realize you stopped leading, you stopped growing, you stopped challenging yourself, You stopped being unpredictable. You stopped being the man she admired. You traded your mission for her attention, and in doing so, you lost both. Machiavelli understood human nature better than most men alive today. Those who surrender themselves are ruled. Those who rule themselves are desired. Let that sink in. You don't win in relationships by holding tighter. You win by standing taller. You don't keep someone by chasing them. You keep them by being someone worth following. You don't attract through softness. You attract through certainty, direction, discipline, gravity. A woman pulls away not to break you, but to reveal where you broke yourself. Because here's the ultimate truth. She cannot stay with a man who has left himself, and she cannot leave a man who has fully become himself. This is your turning point. Not to win her back, but to win yourself back. Your strength, your purpose, your presence, your identity, your throne. Because once you reclaim those, everything else begins to align. Respect, attraction, desire, connection, emotional balance. Machiavelli would end with this warning: never again permit another to hold the power you must command within. You lost yourself once. You now understand the cost. Never let it happen again.